So, how are our material conditions this morning, boys?
My house is too cold. I'm in a hoodie and a beanie right now, and I don't know, like this weird, like the heat works, but like the heat works when it wants to, and like I called the landlord about replacing the thermostat because it seems like it's on some sort of schedule or something, and I can't get it to change the schedule. So like I got home last night and it was just like, I mean, sometimes it gets so hot that I have to open a window, and then a couple hours later, like this morning, it's freezing. They were supposed to send somebody by 2 or 3 days ago to replace the thermostat, but that still hasn't happened.
Very cool.
Yeah, very cool. Very legal as well.
Very legal, very cool.
In our apartment, I had to like one of the like heating vents here was like locked shut, and so for whatever reason, one of the rooms, the office that me and Carrie share, was like just fucking freezing all the time, no matter what we put on the thermostat. So I had to like manually like pry the thing open, and I was able to do it because of my amazing tool skills. But now, like, when we turn the thermostat on, it just becomes like a fucking oven because it's all the way open because there's no like adjustment to it.
Yeah.
So that's pretty nice. But it's weird. I actually, when I was growing up, I grew up in a really, really old building, and I only ever had radiators. Like, but they weren't like, you couldn't control them. It was just like the building had like one boiler. And because there were a lot of old people in the building, they were always complaining about it being too cold, like even in the middle of like fucking July. So like the radiator was just always on, and they were huge radiators, like they span the entire length of like rooms. And if you like touch them, you just like burn. Like I've lost like my fingerprints as a child, just like touching these fucking.
Oh,
things.
dude, when I was in college, when I was living in the dorm, I was in like a very old dorm building at West Virginia University, and we had radiators as well. And like I was in this like single room, and like it was very small, and like in order to like arrange the room to maximize the space in a way I wanted to, like I had to put the bed like lengthwise right up against the radiator.
Yeah, dude, yeah.
And like most of the radiator wasn't hot to the touch, but there was the one like pipe that comes up like where the little knob is on top, like that was always piping hot. So I had to like jerry rig a little contraption to like cover it. I like carved out like a hole, like I took apart a 24 case of Natty Light, and I cut a hole in the top of it, and I like was able to like slide it over top of it so it would cover it. So like it wasn't touching it directly, but like also it would cover it so I would never like in the middle of the night accidentally roll into it and touch it or anything. So it worked out pretty well.
No.
This might be something, but in college it was always really, really cold in the dorm, and so what I did was there was like a little panel with a thermometer thermostat behind it, but it was just like this little metal panel built into the wall. And I went to like CVS or something, and I bought like a tiny little squirt gun, and I filled it with water and I put it like in my beer fridge so that I would just spray the panel and it would get cold, and then it would trigger the heat to come on. And then I like remembered from chemistry, no, don't correct me if this is wrong or whatever, but I was like, I'm pretty sure that like when a state of matter changes from like a liquid to a gas, I'm just fucking spit, but this is like 15-year-old knowledge, whatever, 20-year-old, I don't even fucking know, that it's an endothermic reaction, so that it absorbs heat when the state of matter changes from a liquid to a gas. So I was like, well, theoretically, I would want to have some liquid in the gun that's not only in the squirt gun, the pump act. I just want to be clear, that can be cold and then also evaporate faster, right? Because the state of matter changing from a liquid to a gas. So I would fill it with isopropanol, so that when I squirted it onto thing, it would evaporate really fast, and then the heat would come on even quicker.
Cool. So hey, if anyone out there is listening to this, and even if Dwight had even the slightest bit of incorrect information, regarding the chemistry there, please, send all complaints to me. You can DM me directly at the Eat the Rich podcast account.
No,
so
I'm sure
if you want to send a whole like 5-paragraph wall of text that starts with "well, actually," please direct that to the podcast account.
I like imagining like your as you say, your beer fridge is just filled with like a variety of super soakers, each containing different types of liquid that you've like that have like specific labels on, as you're just like shooting your room and getting the walls wet constantly in your quest for experimentation.
It doubled for a cleanliness thing, because when like you have a party and like fucking jungle juice gets dried onto the tile by the morning, then you can get it off with that. You just squirt it with the gun. Squirt gun.
I was gonna say the only thing I've done that's sort of similar is I had a party once where I got a bunch of those like little plastic squirt guns, not like a full like pump one, but just like a little shitty little plastic one that you would get like in a in like a kid's party bag or something, and we just filled those with like tequila.
Yeah.
And then it'd be like, freeze, put it in somebody's mouth. Had a lot of fun with that.
It's probably a little worse now, because like when you do that, if we were in college now, like kids would be fucking properly traumatized, because it's like much fuck. Is that fucked up? That's why like somebody DM'd me the other day and was just like, why do you like shout out the Zoomers so much? And I was like, I honestly think that like millennials, there's somebody said this. I hope this isn't too pop culture-y, but millennials said, somebody said like had an analog childhood and a digital adulthood, right? Because like when we were kids, we were just fucking running around the woods and shit. Like we didn't have cell phones or whatever. And even like for us, I think we're of the age of that when we were in college, nobody had like a camera phone or a smartphone or whatever. So like if you did, maybe people had flip phones, but like if you were an asshole at 1 a.m. and nobody could take a picture of you and disseminate it across the internet, and just like wake up with that knowledge. So the Zoomers, I think, are like a uniquely stressed generation, that like they have had this kind of like digital childhood as well as a digital adulthood, which we know is like sometimes we need to fucking take a break from like Twitter or social media, or just like put the fucking phone down for a while and go be a person. And like the Zoomers, like they had their likenesses posted unwillingly by their parents probably for like a majority of their adolescence, or like childhood and adolescence, because like they the parents would have had smartphones and shit like that. Can you imagine like having all of your blunder years pictures just like available for everybody in perpetuity? It's gotta suck. Or it's normal for them. I don't know, but like I get the sense that they are a uniquely stressed generation.
I mean, I think for sure when it comes to growing up with digital technologies, and particularly like hyper connected, internet-based platforms and stuff, and the social pressures when you're at, those ages as you're growing up to like be on them, and and obviously the social value that you get out of that, connecting with your friends and via social media and stuff. Like I really do think that you're right that the generation after us is sort of like canary in the coal mine with that, because like the thing that I also worry and I wonder a lot about, like I mean I'm a little bit younger than you guys, and so I think I encountered some of that stuff when I like just at an age where I was like a little bit younger, but like I mean obviously like I'm like online poisoned, like I'm like fucking glued to my phone and my computer and shit, like, and especially given the nature of the kind of work I do, like I'm like, for me, like when I'm working is like I'm on the computer looking at stuff on the internet, and then when I'm relaxing I'm like on the computer and the internet, and I wonder like like what that does long term to your brain and your thought processes, and then obviously of course like your mental health and your mood. But
let me ask you a question. How do you feel?
I feel great.
As Shane is visibly lying and cringing.
No, I mean one of the things that I've wanted to kind of, I don't know if I have the chops for this, but one of the areas of interest of study that I would like to explore at some point with the academic stuff I do, or maybe somebody else out there who does more like kind of neuroscience shit would be able to wrap their heads around this. But like I've thought a lot about how, like, especially with like search engines, like with search engine optimization, right? Like it's like a heuristic, right? Like when you and I think I talked about this maybe when we had Becca on, but like when you like type something into Google, like the way you phrase that question or that query that you like is based upon an assemblage of like keywords that we've just gotten like instinctual to the point, because after having done it like millions of times, like just an unfathomable amount of times that we like use a service like that, we end up learning how to phrase things to get the results that we want, and vice versa. The algorithm behind the search engine is also like taking in all of that data as everybody does it, and then like reforming itself and reforming how it conducts its searches. And so over time, like I've noticed, and I'm not like bemoaning the loss of like language here necessarily, but like, when I like look up stuff on Google, it's like hot dog in water. You know what I mean? It's just like the way you like you condense certain thoughts and you like drop clauses out of sentences, which is like totally different from when it first started. I don't know if you guys remember like Ask Jeeves.
Yes.
And the whole premise was like ask a full question. Like you would never type in like a full question into Google. You're always like creating these weird little bites of things, and that's like us as adults. I wonder what that does to like a developing mind. And I'm not necessarily saying it does anything bad to it. It's just curious that like, because ultimately I think it also then frames if it's framing the language that you're using, it's framing how you're thinking about, if that makes sense.
Yeah, man.
I never had a computer in my home. I'm trying to think when my parents got a computer. I guess I was probably 13, maybe even 14. Mm-hmm. It was probably 2000, 2001 that my parents got a computer. So like, yeah, my whole other than like what we were talking about last week, like going to the computer lab at elementary school, like I had absolutely no exposure to computers as a kid. I think perhaps to my detriment, I'm not sure, because I feel like I've skated by, and I may have been like among the very last of a generation that can do this, is that I've like skated by to my 30s where I'm at now, like just barely being proficient in computers or any kind of technology. You know what I'm saying? Like I just barely can comprehend how to even use one.
Where?
Yeah. And there were whole big swaths of my 20s where I didn't have one either. The amount of time I've had my own computer over my lifetime is not very much. But I can't imagine being 12 years old, like kids today, and like or like being 13 or something, and like having access to like high speed, like quality streaming pornography. Dude, I can't imagine. I would have never left my room.
I mean, I
can't imagine what that must be like for like a young man.
Well, I think that's another thing too. I mean, in that particular circumstance, and it's not just with pornography, although I think that's a really good example of it. Seriously, like that it is going to affect you in a very serious way. Having access to just internet content in general, like having so many things at your fingertips, like constantly in your pocket, in your fucking pocket, dude. Again, as a developing mind, like the way that you can get like sucked into certain things, and of course, part of my whole interest in that field and that whole area of research too is like the political consequences of that,
right?
Like, I mean, vis-a-vis like the alt-right and that kind of thing, or even just like the shit that like we engage with on Twitter, like in our like corner of like weird left Twitter, because like sometimes you're like, there's so many of these like anonymous accounts, and I just kind of always assume in my head, I'm like, I guess just based on, I don't know, whatever, but I just assume they're in the same like age demographic as me when I'm like talking to them. But then occasionally you're like talking to somebody, or you see somebody, and then they'll be like, oh, like I'm a teenager or something, and it's like, whoa, I did not expect that. And also, like, should you be here? Like, like, I mean, far be it from me to like try to be age gatekeepy or whatever, but I just like, who knows, there could be like one of the fucking one of the followers of the podcast account that's called like Lenin69 or whatever could be like 12 years old. Like, who the fuck knows?
Yeah. I wonder that.
I always wonder, because obviously the feds or the intelligence services are going to in some sort of modern COINTELPRO infiltrate online leftist spaces. Like whenever I'm on Twitter, I just can't help but think like, okay, which ones are the spooks?
But you're right. It makes you wonder. That's why it's important for us, especially, I don't even know if this is like good to say out loud, but like, we've met each other in person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like anybody that I've become close to, it's important to me to have like some sort of personal interaction.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
for sure.
Clearly I am no fucking target. Like, I'm a nobody. Like, I offer nearly nothing. I have a net worth of less than zero. Like, who the fuck am I? But like, you know, if you really were into some shit, like, yeah, then maybe there's somebody that even like that you meet in person would be fucking, you know, a spook.
Yeah. You know, this was just making me think, it's just in terms of, again, the age stuff. When I was in elementary school, one of the kids that was like in my school, I don't even think they were in my class. I have a fucking Swiss cheese brain for memory. But like, one of the kids that was in my class was either Michael Imperioli's kid, or maybe his niece or his nephew or something. The guy who played Christopher Moltisanti on The Sopranos. Yeah. And I remember I was like 9 or 10, and he like came one day to the school to pick them up. And I was with my dad, and I was like, "Oh my God, Dad, that's Christopher from The Sopranos," because I used to like watch The Sopranos with my dad. And he was like, "Oh, let's go say hi." So I like went over, and my dad like shook his hand or whatever, and he's like, "My son really wanted to meet you," and he was like, very like flattered and stuff at first. And then I said, "I'm a huge fan of The Sopranos. Like, I love you. I love Christopher." And he just looked at me. He got really sad. He's like, "You shouldn't be watching The Sopranos."
Yeah.
like, what are you doing? And he like looked at my dad like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you showing your child The Sopranos?" And of course, being like the precocious youngster I was, in my head, I was sort of like, "Hey, fuck you, buddy. Like, I want to watch the show. I want to find out what happens to you and Adriana, okay? She's so hot." That was me as a child thinking that. That's what I'm saying.
How old were you when you were watching it?
I mean, I watched it when it first came out. What year did it first come out? 1999?
99.
Yeah, so I was 9.
Shit.
I was 9. Yeah, me and my dad were watching it together.
I was aware of it in elementary school. In fact, I remember being in 5th grade. I have a distinct memory of being at the lunch table, and there were some other kids talking about it, but I'd never seen it. In fact, I've still never seen it. I've never seen The Sopranos.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh, dude, yeah, no, it's
really good.
Great. It's great. Yeah, it occupies an outsized amount of my brain space.
Well, I'll tell you what does that for me, and what I'm really looking forward to actually tomorrow. The 4th season is going to come on Netflix finally. Is Better Call Saul. You watch that show?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's so good. I didn't watch the entire 4th season. I've been waiting for it to come on Netflix for nearly 2 years now. And it's going to be on Netflix tomorrow. And then the 5th season, I believe, starts at the end of this month. Very excited about that.
The fourth season is really good.
Very excited to watch it.
The 4th season is really good.
I will probably have watched the entire thing by Monday morning.
I'm pretty busy on Love and Hip Hop New York, so I might get to that a little bit later on.
That's another interesting thing that, like, again, I don't know if there's any kind of grand social point to be made out of this, but it is a generational thing. The whole like concept of sort of like show binging,
right? Absolutely.
Or just like sitting down and watching one thing, and because like there are shows that I want to see that I like won't, because I won't start watching them because I know like I don't have the time to like sit for 3 days and do it. And there were a whole slew of those, and it was funny. Like, I mean, this is like a little sad sack hour or whatever, but they were like, I never watched like Breaking Bad or like The Wire or whatever, and then I've
never seen The Wire either, man.
And then I got divorced, and I was like, well, now I have the time because I'm like alone all the time to just sit and watch, and I just like just banged them out in like 2 days.
Yeah. Personally, I'm fucking convinced about this, that like the reason that binge watching is even the thing is that we as young people are so fucking exhausted in our downtime. Like, we can't even like enjoy our time with our significant others when we have downtime, or even have time to see each other. Like, you just have to fucking lie there. No. Like, we're completely robbed of our leisure time. We're just fucking, it's our work day is it should be whatever the American labor ideal of 8 hours of work, 8 hours of leisure, 8 hours of rest. But ours is more like 10 hours of work, like 4 hours of commuting, and then like 3 hours of binge watching, and then maybe a good 1.5 hours of looking at your phone while you're trying to fall asleep.
You forgot posting.
Well, you're posting during this.
Posting all damn day.
You're posting while you're on the toilet,
right?
So that you can do that, and then the remainder is just having a extremely unproductive sleep.
And then you're getting pink eye from posting on the toilet, and you don't have health insurance to do anything about it.
That's right. You're asking your friends, bro, just like wash my eye with Dawn, dude. Like I can't go to the doctor. Please, I need your help.
I had an experience when I realized like that it was becoming like a terminal issue, my like onlineness. When I was finishing my master's degree, I was my thesis, I was writing about like the alt-right online, and specifically I was looking at like Reddit. And so I was just like the last like few weeks of that, I was just going through like endless Reddit posts, right? And like cataloging them and writing them up, and I just had like fucking 10 tabs at all times, or way more than that, but of just like Reddit posts, and I was just looking at them and like, you know, again, taking screenshots or pulling quotes and stuff. And I was doing this for like 8 hours, you know, in a stretch. And then I would like go to the bathroom to like take a break, and just like instinctually I would like whip out my phone and I would just start like looking at Reddit and like normally and, like start posting on it. And then I was like, oh fuck, dude, this isn't good. This can't be healthy. Like
I personally, you know, I like to you know, you stare at your computer all day at work, and then you look forward to being able to go home where you can stare at your computer.
Yeah, hell yeah.
This just is some Black Mirror dystopia shit.
Oh, we're living in the dystopia, man. It's here.
Yeah.
It fucking creeps up on you, huh?
Yeah.
I think I said this on another, maybe when we were recording with working people or something, but like, it's just, I don't know. It just creeps up on you so fast. It's like the frog in boiling water thing. Was that, I don't remember. Was that a...
That was the last, that was one with Heidi. I still think you are making that expression up. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, no, it's a
don't
frog.
defend him.
So please
don't
help
defend
me.
him.
It's a frog doesn't notice that he's boiling if you turn it up slowly. That's the idea. You don't put a frog into a boiling pot. You put him into a cold pot, and then you slowly raise the heat, and he doesn't notice.
It's twisted. It's twisted, bro. It's twisted.
I'm pretty good at my, you know, never really a want for words, but for some reason that one.
Check this one out. A watched pot never boils.
Oh damn! I've never heard.
You ever heard that one?
Where was that from?
Wait, you're fucking with me. You never heard that one?
Now when I was a young boy, about the age of 5, my teachers taught me I could be the greatest man alive. They told me I could change the world, be whatever I wanted to be. There was no one in the world like me. Every one of us was so unique. I'd not be an average man. No, sir, I'd be no average man. So I have those big dreams.
Welcome back, everybody, to Eat the Rich. This is a show about our political economy, late-stage capitalism, and the millionaires, billionaires, and multinational corporations hell-bent on staving off its death rattle. I'm Dwight, and today we have with us Shane.
Hey, yo.
We have Chris.
Howdy there, folks.
And everybody is going through this at the same moment that we're saying it with our mouths here. This is our first Patreon episode.
Yes.
It's a long time coming,
Yes.
to be honest. Yes. I thought it was just a joke for a long time that we were even doing this.
Yeah.
Eat the Rich podcast claims to be socialist, and yet
Here we are.
making money for their labor.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, in fairness, too, I mean, we should explain, if anybody's interested in this, that we have set it up as a worker co-op. So, like, I don't know if you guys don't mind me talking about this, but, like, you know, we're voting members. There is no hierarchy. Everybody gets a vote. It is a democratic system. We share in the $10 million signing bonus that we got from our billionaire dark money benefactors.
Yeah, you can find this show simulcast on Anthony Cumilla's Compound Network.
We contracted, a company called Shadow to make an app to help us allocate and distribute the funds fairly between.
That's right.
The three of us. So, I'm not anticipating any clusterfucks with that.
We're recording this on January 30th, so the debates haven't happened. The caucuses haven't happened yet. We're looking forward to it.
I don't know why that's such a funny bit to me, but like in the other little kind of bonus thing that we teased out, where Chris, you said we're recording it like, you know, the night before the Iowa caucus. I really feel like every episode going forward, we should just claim that we recorded it. Like today is January 3rd, 2017. We're really excited to record this.
We recorded every one of these episodes in a single afternoon back in June.
We're just gonna slow release them over the year.
Yeah.
In reality, well, I guess let's explain to the folks what the hopeful format is going to be for the Patreon, or not, or just fuck it, you'll get what you get.
No, I think it's worth saying, like, because we talked a lot about this, and I think, you know, because we put a lot of time into doing the main show, and you know, and honestly, it takes like a lot of research and, you know, a lot of putting together, and then the stuff with the guests. And I think we all feel strongly that we want to make sure that the majority of content like that is still going to be, you know, available to everybody for free. But, you know, so for the Patreon, what we're going to do is kind of more like bonus stuff. We are still going to put like, you know, work into it. They're just going to be different kinds of episodes. And I think we're going to experiment and try out a couple of different formats and see what people like. And probably not listen to what people don't like in general.
No, that's
so
100%.
If you complain about it, I don't know.
100% chance of that happening. You're welcome to complain, but your comments will not be received.
Yeah. There will be a 1-hour solo Shane episode where he just kind of quietly plays Workers and Resources Soviet Republic with barely any commentary. And if that gets a negative response, I will do 2 more of them. So there you go.
No, honestly, there's topics that there's like so much content that happens during the week, and I'm just like psychotically taking notes in my Google Drive, like on the train, when I'm just like scrolling through news items and stuff that I like want to go in depth, because this was something like I did when I was guested on Liquid Flannel, which was I watched this on Bloomberg TV. I don't think I was at like the gym or something like that, and it was an episode. It was a like a 5-minute interview with the now outgoing CEO of IBM, Ginny Rometty, and the things that she said were so fucking insane. And by all rights, like no one should have ever thought. No one is ever going to think about that 5-minute bit with her again. But I just had to like go in depth with it. So I, like a normal person in my off time, transcribed the entire interview and like dissected and went through every point. And what it begins to reveal are the kind of cracks in our political economy. And so I'm super interested in going in depth more with some of these things with you guys, because I think it's super important for us to understand the nature of our political economy, especially through the completely warped convex lens of our corporate media, and begin to understand it, so that if we do want to look forward to a future in which we do gain democratic control of a majority of our resources and our means of production, we can only do so by arming ourselves with as much information as possible and a deep understanding of how these things work, if for no other reason than to make your parents deeply uncomfortable when you talk to them about politics. So
yeah, some of the Patreon episodes will be well thought out things like that by Dwight, and then, you know, some of them will be me and Chris talking about our favorite levels in Red Dead Redemption.
Honestly, when Dwight was just talking, I was literally like going through a mental checklist of the things I need to accomplish in Red Dead Redemption today.
Oh fuck. Oh fuck. Oh no.
All right, so debate. We had a debate yesterday.
I watched it. Didn't really want to watch it, but I watched it.
To be clear, we're recording this on Saturday, the morning after the debates. We are, for the most part, probably at least 2/5 of us are hungover, I would say, on an average. It was brutal.
It sucked.
You know what was really brutal? I think even more than the debate. Did you watch? Because I watched the entire, like on my phone, I watched the entire like live stream or whatever of it until midnight. But everything that came after the debate, all of the punditry, especially the panel panel. You see ABC's fucking all-star panel featuring Rahm Emanuel and Chris Christie.
Jesus Christ.
Infuriating.
Jesus Christ.
Infuriating. All of them, of course, every one of them, maybe if they were being generous, they would mention, when they talk about who won Iowa, they would maybe, if they were being charitable, they would mention Bernie within the same sentence as Buttigieg. But most of them, would talk about Iowa with the understanding and with the assumption that Buttigieg ran away with it, and that he has the momentum going into New Hampshire and going into the rest of them.
Momentum, to be clear, meaning a lot of pundits like him because he's of their same class, and he's relatable to them because he is a ice-chewing psychopath that wants to change nothing but gain status.
Right. And I was happy that, Bernie as well pointed out, that was one of the best moments of the night, is when he literally pointed to Buttigieg on stage and singled him out as someone who has received a ton of money from a ton of different billionaires.
Yeah, 40 different billionaires.
40 different billionaires. I've got, maybe we can talk about it here in a little bit, but I got an article here about that. I don't want to go through all of them, but it's worth noting that in addition to having 40 billionaire donors, I believe 13 or 14 of them came from finance and investments.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, there's another thing I saw. It's back from December, but I just saw it reposted yesterday. I think it's kind of interesting. Here's an article from USA Today back in December. With 218 foreign policy endorsements, Buttigieg targets a big Biden asset. I'll read from this here a little bit and what type of people that's talking about. Among those from the Obama administration who signed the statement are former Secretary, so these are all the people who've gone on to endorse Buttigieg. Former Secretary of the Army, Eric Fanning. Former Deputy CIA Director, David Cohen. Former Assistant Secretary of State, Philip Gordon. Former Undersecretary of Commerce, Francisco Sanchez. Former State Department Advisor, Vali Nassar. Former White House Associate Counsel, Tess Bridgman. Former National Security Council spokesman. So what this is a list of 218 people, from all over the military-industrial complex.
But I think I'm hearing is you're reading off people that have been involved in the National Security Agency listed by the amount of civilians they've killed.
So, my point is that when overwhelmingly you see all of these people, not only from, the banking and finance sector, who have donated, these billionaires who have donated, in many cases, the maximum amount to the Buttigieg campaign, but I think maybe even more concerning is, all of these, Pentagon people, former CIA, national security people, military people, who has more to benefit from the status quo than the financial sector and the military industrial complex? Who would like to see the status quo, change less than them? So I think that, their wholesale endorsement of him, it is in the most charitable reading is that they understand that he's not going to fundamentally do anything to upend the system or to change the status quo. And I think that, perhaps there's an even more insidious reading than that.
What's funny as you say that makes me think is as much as they're trying to preserve a quote capitalist status quo, which a neoliberal capitalist status quo, which Pete Buttigieg is very much emblematic of. But you're discussing defense and finance,
right? Both
industries of which are disproportionately subsidized by the government,
right?
As we discussed on the episode, our Lockheed Martin episode, like $1.5 trillion goes into the military-industrial complex out of our taxes every year. Yes, it's like $750 billion directly to the Department of Defense, but then there's all the other kind of ancillary military subsidization that goes on for the other departments that uses it that directly benefit the defense industries. But then finance, lest we forget how much money the Fed is pumping into the economy to directly subsidize the fucking collateralized loan obligations, which, by the way, will crash our economy. Fucking Nostradamus over here we're done for because of that. So it is completely fucking hypocritical.
So yeah, I had a couple of these specific characters that I wanted to go into a little bit, but I guess that my computer is unable to handle two tabs being open at the same time, so I'm not going to be able to. I'm not going to be able to do that at the moment.
Well, don't stress it out, Chris.
Yeah, I was going to say we need to get like a repeater, like a little thing for Chris.
But what I usually do is if I have something I'm going to read from, if I have an article I'm going to read from, because I know that that this problem happens, is that what I'll usually do is I'll copy and paste text of the article into a Word document, and it seems to have an easier time with that than something the internet browser. I don't know.
That is understandable given the circumstances, and also simultaneously one of the most boomer things I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
So sorry.
I'm just imagining like Chris opening one of those like an old school like word stuff where they'd have like a template wizard for like making like a greeting card and accidentally like copying and pasting into that. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, he's totally full of shit. One of the things he said during the debate was, like, I'm the only one on stage who's not a millionaire or billionaire.
Well, no, that's their new thing. They're saying not only that, but he was saying that, but Warren was saying the thing about I'm the only one on stage who's not a billionaire or who I'm not the only one on stage who doesn't get money from billionaires or a super PAC. That's the new thing. They're trying to talk about Bernie and this super PAC or whatever.
Dude.
Yeah. Yeah,
the astroturfing,
absolute bullshit.
Right.
I mean, that's literally a lie. I mean, she has received donations from billionaires, and the PAC that they're talking about is, I think, Our Revolution. I think that's what she was fucking referring to.
It's a super PAC that Bernie himself started.
Right.
Yeah.
I've donated to it.
Yeah, I had some Buttigieg supporter on Twitter yesterday, like referring me to an article about that. It's like, well, see, this is his back door to where all the dark money can pour into his campaign, and he's not even accountable. I was like, okay, well, so if you're so concerned about that, are you not concerned about the literal dark money pouring into the Buttigieg campaign, like in plain sight? Yeah. If that's something that's concerning to you.
I think my favorite thing that I saw, and I'll confess, the only time that I ever watch like the mainstream news outlets is like during the time that the debate is going on, and maybe
I call it the lamestream news.
Nice.
Wake up, sheeple.
Got
him. So I maybe catch like a minute before and a minute afterwards of like the stupid blathering banter of the pundits, and I say that with total self-awareness of what we're doing. But
yeah, but we're cool.
The one thing that I did see, and Chris, I don't know if this was on the panel you were talking about, but I did see the Chris Matthews like meltdown.
Oh, dude,
about,
I didn't see that live, but I saw the clip of that.
Talking about like executions in Central Park, and he was like, I'll be executed in Central Park and people will cheer, which is, again, it's on par with like the John Bussey guy who's like, everybody's calling me an idiot and an asshole and a stupid dum-dum.
I have my own views of the word socialist, and I'll be glad to share them with you in private. And they go back to the early 1950s. I have an attitude about them. I remember the Cold War. I have an attitude towards Castro. I believe if Castro and the Reds had won the Cold War, there would have been executions in Central Park, and I might have been one of the ones getting executed. And certain other people would be there cheering, okay? So I have a problem with people who took the other side.
Again, the funny thing about that is that in his own mind's eye, that scenario is built around like general popular hate of him. Like in his fantasy version, it's not like he's being forced to do some weird like Stalinist kangaroo court trial where like the people will silently be upset that like these political commissars are like taking out members of the press. In his own fantasy version of it, he's saying the people will cheer my death when it comes. Which is just so fucking perfect. It's so funny and so revealing too. It's so revealing that like they all do kind of secretly know, even if it only comes out in these weird lucid moments of like these insane rants and these paranoid fantasies
on the verge of tears.
Yeah.
But they know that they're detested.
Right.
And they know that like, if conditions continue as they are, there's a high likelihood of just like a French Revolution style mob of people like in the fucking Dark Knight Rises just like rushing into their like fucking condos and like ripping off all their shit. Like they know that that's like just around the corner, and yet they can't express it in any way except like, I can't believe these unwashed masses would tear me limb from limb as I walk through the streets in my my jauntily clacking my cane on the corner.
Well, the funny part too is that, like, I guess from what Chris Matthews says, the assumption, because what he says was that people would, he'd be executed in Central Park, and then there may be some people, on the sidelines watching that and cheering. I think that his implication there was that Bernie would be one of the people cheering.
Yeah.
Chris Matthews in the green room looking into the mirror alone before he goes on to air and just saying, "They hate me because they ain't me."
At some point, Chris Matthews or another one of these people are just going to literally describe the end of Joker and be like, when I watched that scene, I feared for my life because I realized that I could, one of the mentally ill people that I taunt on a regular basis might come back and shoot me in the fucking head on live television. That's what I was worried about when I watched that scene.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert for the Joker is what I mean. Spoiler alert.
It came out years ago at this rate.
Yeah. It feels like it. It feels like it.
Every day is a decade today. Yeah. Come on.
So the Chris Matthews thing. I watched it like 5 times in a row, reveling in it every time. I want them to be afraid. Like this is it's fantastic.
Yes.
That's exactly what I want to see. Yeah. I want you like this. I want, like you were saying, his awareness that fucking even in this absurd hypothetical scenario that he's inventing in his head, even in his own fantasy, everybody hates him. It's so perfect.
It's perfect.
I should mention one of my absolute favorite ever moments on media involved Chris Matthews, which I believe was the 2004 Democratic Convention, where then Senator Zell Miller challenged him to a duel.
And, all right, I'm sorry. A Republican senator broke ranks and came over and spoke for the Democrats. Would you respect him?
Yes. Of course I would. I've seen that happen from time to time. Look,
what did Jim Jefferson say to you? Jim Jefferson of Vermont switched parties after getting elected.
Ask a question,
well, that's a tough question. It takes a few words.
Get out of my face. If you're going to ask me a question, step back and let me answer.
Senator,
you know, I wish we lived in the day where you could challenge a person to a duel. Now that would be pretty good. But don't ask. Don't pull that.
I need
don't
you,
pull that. Wait a minute. Don't pull that kind of stuff on me like you did that young lady when you had her there browbeating her to death.
Yeah, well,
I'm not her.
She was.
I'm not her.
Let me tell you, she was suggesting.
You get in my face, I'm going to get back in your face.
Shot himself and I was trying to correct the record.
The only reason you're doing it is because you're standing way over there in Herald Square.
It's perfect. And he laughs. Well, then he laughed. Maybe he's just like, he's traumatized by it now. He's like, oh shit, this might be my fate. but I should mention too that my Chromecast, like, you know how you can name your Chromecast? Mine is currently and has been for a year named Zell Miller.
The outcome, any potential outcome of a duel between Zell Miller and Chris Matthews, I would like to see.
Unfortunately, Zell Miller's no longer with us.
Oh,
he couldn't be. He couldn't.
Wait, who am I thinking of? When did Zell Miller die?
Oh, not long after that, if I'm not mistaken.
Really? Who am I?
He died in the duel.
Who the hell am I thinking of then?
Oh no, he died in 2018.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, okay. I wasn't aware that he had died.
Yeah. No, he's he was old.
How old was he?
He was 86.
Absurd.
It's a good run for a fucking
absurd.
No, but like, just the fact that we allow these people to stay in Congress to remember fucking Strom Thurmond, like 100-something years old. Dude?
Oh yeah.
Ridiculous. Yeah. Ridiculous. Like had been nonverbal for years.
Joe Biden's racist mentor. I cannot believe that. Like a literal Ku Klux Klan member.
Right. Literally the thing he's famous for is having the longest filibuster in the history of the Senate, which was a filibuster against integration.
Unfucking believable. And again, if I'm not mistaken, Joe Biden gave the keynote eulogy for him at his funeral.
Was it him or was it some other? I know that he mentioned Strom Thurmond as some sort of mentor or something, but I think that he's had a weird relationship with several old segregationists. But was it Thurmond or was it? I'm trying to think who else it might have been.
It was Joe Biden. He said, I'm just reading here from something, and this is from the Washington Examiner. Said Biden praised segregationist Strom Thurmond as closest friend.
I think that was the only truly enjoyable thing about the debate last night. I mean, we were talking about it a little bit before we started recording that, especially at this stage in the game, like the actual content of the debate is just a rehash of the same political lines that are already very clearly drawn. And the only new fresh content is watching them react to the kind of horse racy, elements of who's now in the lead and that kind of stuff, which is overall overall the least interesting stuff. So if that's the only thing that's like new, it's kind of like a wash and difficult to watch. But like along those lines, for me, the enjoyable thing about last night was just watching like Joe Biden just collapse on stage.
Dude,
like it was so. I mean, he's been doing it on every debate because, as I've maintained for a long time, I just do not think he's viable. I never thought he was viable.
No.
Like, and I'm not saying that like the DNC or whatever isn't going to try to like fuck Bernie out of the nomination, but they're going to aggregate around somebody else. It's just not going to be him because he can't sustain it. And last night was just such a good proof of that. Where just like these weird, like total inability to like form a coherent thought, and the only times that he did have any like moments of lucidity were these weird like angry like calls to arms, like when he was like, we should all stand up and salute Colonel Vindman.
Dude.
Like what the fuck?
Yeah,
dude.
Like, and just like getting this lukewarm response to that, like, and he really looks like shit. And I gotta say, it warmed my heart a little bit to just watch that kind of finally flounder and fizzle out on stage.
You know what's really infuriating last night about Biden was the fact that, and it came up several times, like almost, it's like they all have, like all the candidates, everybody, they have to speak in like very hushed tones, and they have to be very quickly to, you know, when Hunter Biden is brought up or any sort of corruption involving the Biden family, they all have to make clear, like, whoa, that's just totally off limits. Like none of us believe that could possibly, you know, there could be anything untoward there. Like they can't even acknowledge it. Like obviously this is.
We should investigate it.
Yes, we should
investigate it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like the only time you can even bring up Hunter Biden was to, you know, say that, oh, no, certainly there's nothing wrong there.
Yeah, no, there is definitely something wrong there. Yes. He was fucking trading on his last name for the majority of his unremarkable, like professional life. He hasn't done anything. He just goes places. I don't even know. I should mention too with Joe Biden, and I want to preface this by saying I am not a medical professional, but he did not look great.
Yeah.
Glassy eyes, redness around the eyes, potentially a stark amount of makeup.
You know, somebody DM'd me about this, and I'm not entirely sure that I buy this, but they were saying that the way he looked was sort of indicative of possible like eye work, you know?
Eye work?
Sort of some kind of like, you know, like a cosmetic eye work, or maybe even like a, you know, medical thing. Because remember, there was that previous debate where he had the fucking like totally bloodshot eye, and they were saying that it looked like he had maybe had
not
some
even
surgery.
bloodshot, blood-filled.
I mean, obviously, like, our guy is old, and it's always a shame that, like, so much of this conversation has to be dominated by, like, people that are, like, of a certain age, right? Like, somehow that grants you, like, automatic distinction or whatever. But, like, he particularly looked old as shit.
Yeah, he
like
did.
any argument that is tried to make against Bernie that he's like too old to run or whatever, like at least Bernie's like fucking coherent, you know what I mean? Like,
dude.
and he was on fire last night. Like he was, you know, he was doing all the same shit that he always does, but he, you know, he gave it an extra oomph. But like Biden just like straight up, like I almost felt bad for him. I just wanted to be like, dude, go home, you know, like this is done.
He's not cut
like,
out for this.
You're gonna come in fucking 5th in New Hampshire, you know, like at least rest on the laurels of like, I was a vice president, you know, like put out a book or something and try to like spend some time with your family. Don't like die on the campaign trail, dude.
Yeah. He did not look well. It bears worth mentioning too that like Bernie is like 4 months older than Joe Biden. Seriously. He's not. I don't know why they single out Bernie as like an older candidate, because he is like the same age as Biden. Fucking Nancy Pelosi's older.
Right. Yeah.
Oh God, we never even talked about that.
Oh, the State of the Union.
The State of the Union.
Oh
shit.
Fuck.
I don't know if it's. I said this online.
I didn't watch it. Did you actually watch it?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
It was after one of the nights we were recording, I think, because I remember I came into the bedroom and Carrie was watching it, and I was like, oh, okay, it's one of those nights. And like, I sat down and started watching it, and like, I literally like chipped one of my back teeth in anger while I was watching it. I was just so infuriated watching that fucking thing, because it was amazing. Because first of all, everybody praised the president for doing this shit, but it was so like, you know, and behind door number 3 is like
Juan Guaido,
all these weird fucking you know, reality TV stunt shit things, and it's like at this point, make it a game show. Just like make it a game show, which it literally was. It's like, and you know, and here's a special surprise medal for Rush Limbaugh, and that was the one thing I was laughing when they brought out the troop.
Yeah, man.
I didn't see it.
So basically he was like praising, there was like a troop wife with their kid,
the daughter,
in the audience, and then Trump was like, and as a special surprise, she doesn't know, but like her husband is back and he's here tonight. And then the troop came out and the wife was like, oh my God, my husband's here, and started hugging him. But I turned to Carrie and I was like, if I was that woman, the first thing I would be is like, how fucking long have you been in town?
Yes. Yeah.
You came to see me on national TV? Well, like, what the fuck? That's not like romantic.
Dude.
Awful. So gimmicky and like fucking, it's making me mad thinking about it again.
Speaking of gimmicky, do you remember, this has been a hallmark of every Trump State of the Union. I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, but do you remember the flag kid? The kid that goes with little American flags and like plants them on the graves of troops at the cemetery?
Trump doesn't give a shit.
No, of course not.
And I was thinking about this, like, imagine being in that dude's unit in Afghanistan and being like, I want to see my family. I haven't seen my son. I'm so scared.
It's like a Saving Private Ryan kind of thing, where like that one troop is like, he's like behind enemy lines or something, and they're like, we gotta go rescue him and get him out because he needs to be, Trump, our president, needs him at the State of the Union.
We have to get him from this forward operating base to come back because Trump needs him.
Everybody in this unit has been focus grouped, and we find that this troop and his wife and child have the most photogenic appearance, so he's the one we selected.
Definitely. I should mention too, which was so fucking stark to me, was the fact that this is now, I'm pretty sure, like the third State of the Union that in a row where Trump has had to say America will never be a socialist country.
No.
That is good to me.
I have such a good like little clip that I made when he first said that, and it for whatever reason it has never reached more than 300 likes. But the second that Bernie wins, I'm gonna smash that retweet button. That motherfucker's going viral. Man. I'm telling you, dude. If you're out there right now, if you're listening, here's a little pro tip that's behind the paywall. Like that tweet now, okay? Get in on the ground floor.
It'll pay dividends later.
Put in a reply, so, and then you'll trust me. Once that baby takes off, you'll get that sweet hit of dopamine. You'll get like 30 likes straight up just by replying LOL. I swear, dude.
Now that we are capitalists and have a Patreon, we should mention that this is an undervalued asset that we highly recommend as your investment brokers that you invest in. Don't even diversify your portfolio. You're going to go 100% in on this tweet of Shane's.
Eat the rich business tips. I fucked it up.
I would recommend. I mean, I would recommend diversifying a little bit. I would say maybe put 60% or maybe 70% into Shane's tweet, with the remainder obviously being in Iraqi dinar and various cryptocurrencies and survival seeds. Those are going to be my 2020 investment tips.
Oh my God, is there a dinar coin? Is there like an Iraqi dinar cryptocurrency?
Probably. I'm not sure. I can't remember if I've seen that or not. I remember...
Chris, just start a GoFundMe for that and get it retweeted by the MAGA people.
Yeah, no, literally like a couple years ago I did a tweet that was like saying that like literally like I should start a cryptocurrency called like MAGA coin or like Q coin and... Dude. Like market this to people, and then like 2 years or a year or whatever later, like I literally found like MAGA coin. Like of course it existed, not before I thought of it, but it came to exist, and I was like, damn, I really should have got in on that. I'm too nice even to grift these people.
I should just say the thing that struck me the most during the debate, what my favorite part was the beginning, like the first question out of Stephanopoulos' mouth, which was basically just saying, why guys should we not vote for Bernie?
Yeah.
Because he was just, it was just like, should we take the risk of trying to elect a democratic socialist? And to that point too, I'll tie this in with, did you see what Juan Guaido said about AOC?
No.
What?
No.
Oh, dude. He was like, I came to this country and everybody was talking to me about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, about being a socialist. And he said, so I looked her up and she would just be considered a social democrat in our country. Total bullshit. I also want to mention that I looked this up and I think I tweeted about this during my semi-lucid state while I was watching before I blacked out, that George Stephanopoulos is worth $35 million.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it makes you wonder.
Have you guys ever seen The War Room?
No.
It's a documentary about Clinton's presidential campaign, but like in the primary.
Oh, really?
And it was like noted to be one of. It's like if you're interested in the kind of what goes on in a political machine, it is an interesting documentary because it's mostly just like a fly on the wall kind of verite style thing where they just like shoot the office and stuff, and there's no like narration or talking heads or whatever. But the two people that it mainly focuses on were his two closest like I don't know like advisors or campaign managers or whatever, because Clinton himself is not really in it. It's mostly Stephanopoulos and then Carvajal.
Really?
And it's just them like bantering and like trying to figure out like ways to like get Clinton elected and like their campaign strategy and stuff. It's really funny, especially knowing in context like who those guys are now and everything.
Totally forgot Stephanopoulos was a Clinton guy.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
dude. Yeah. And his whole thing, too, is that, especially in that documentary, like, the way that they kind of position them is, like, Carvajal is, like, the sort of older Louisianan, like, tough guy, like, he's been around the block a couple times. And Stephanopoulos is, like this is portrayed as this, like, young, hip, cool,
Yikes.
sexy,
Yikes.
political agent, which is just really fucking funny to me.
He does
dude.
have a hell of a head of hair. I will give him that credit. For a man of his age.
Yeah, but so do I.
Yeah, so do I. I've seen better.
It means nothing.
I've seen
Next.
better. I see better every day in the mirror. So I think I'd be remiss if we can just circle back around real quick, and maybe I'd like to hear you guys' opinion on Nancy Pelosi's epic slay queen dog walking of Trump at the State of the Union by ripping up the speech after applauding and giving him standing ovations for everything he said for 2 hours.
Also, after trying to shake his hand.
Yeah, like fuck.
That's how it opened.
She fuck off. Fuck off. Fuck off with that shit, dude. It's fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
I don't mean to. It's early still in the day. I can't get like this every fucking day. But like, did you see the tweet that showed like the picture over her shoulder of the slight tear in it beforehand?
Yeah.
It was so clearly scripted. This is my take, and it's right. That her staff liked the fact that she became a fucking meme for the dumbass fucking clap thing.
Yes.
The dumbass clapping thing from the last State of the Union. They're like, we're going to do this again. You should rip up the speech. Not mentioned is in the discourse around it is the fact that she, while simultaneously, quote, trying to impeach him, handed him one of the biggest victories of his legislative career, which was the USMCA trade deal.
Yes.
Yeah.
And literally like standing, like celebrating it, like Trump's literal legislation, and she helped push it through the House. What the fuck sort of resistance is that? If that's what she's, I'm spitting so much.
Funny about that too is that was one of the topics of the debate last night, and everybody was saying like the whole chorus of everybody, except of course Bernie, was like, no, yeah, it was a good trade deal actually.
Bullshit. It's so bullshit.
Like they
dude.
actually did that. I couldn't believe it. Like after going on and on, everybody's saying, like Trump is dangerous. We need to unify behind him. But we all do agree with some of his agenda.
To be fair, however, I believe Steyer also said that he agreed with Bernie on that. And on the topic of Steyer, like again, like a couple weeks ago, I remember there was the moment where he came over and wanted to shake Bernie's hand or whatever, and everybody like kind of like found him endearing for a couple weeks. Like he's tricky, man. Like if you didn't know that he was literally a billionaire trying to buy his way into the presidency, like the kind of stuff he is saying, he's really attempting last night to position himself, especially talking about reparations and stuff. Like he really is trying to position himself as more progressive than some of the others.
Yeah, well, we should probably mention that at
Don't
today,
fall for it.
Yeah, today there was this is what fucking gets me to my core, is that today there was an article that came out on NPR that said that warmest recording ever in Antarctica, 65 fucking degrees.
Same temperature as Miami at the same time.
Jesus Christ,
and
dude.
Tom Steyer,
Jesus Christ, it's so bad.
Oh
my God, that's so bad.
Tom Steyer made millions off of the Maules Creek coal mining operations in Australia.
Yes.
Absolute millions, while simultaneously trying to be the climate change candidate. He is bullshit. He's fucked. Do not fucking rehabilitate him. And don't think that this isn't like an artful image crafting initiative that he's trying to do for himself, because he's He knows how to do this. He's been spending the last 2.5 years rehabilitating his image, whether or not for that
he's the softer, kinder billionaire.
He can't fucking sleep at night, and I hope he fucking can't, because he is as much of an enemy of the entire fucking planet and everybody that hopes to have a family as anybody out there. Just because he's fucking nice doesn't mean that he has personally lined his bank account with the absolute destruction of the earth. He can go fuck himself. Fuck Tom Steyer.
Well, he even tried to offer an explanation last night. I believe he was interviewed after the debate by, I guess it was the same little lineup of pundits that had Rahm Emanuel and Chris Christie. I think it was Rahm Emanuel asked him about, well, what about these? He asked him about his work in the fossil fuel industry and his work in with the private prison as well, and like how does this mesh with what you're saying now about racial justice and about climate change? And he had this sort of very weaselly, mealy mouth justification. It's like, well, as soon as I figured out that these things were not good, I divested from them.
No, he fucking didn't.
Right.
Oh my God,
guys! The little stat there about Antarctica and Miami is just like put me into a spiral of just fucking existential dread.
Yeah,
that is so bad. Like that has ruined my day.
Yeah,
like. There's no recovery from this.
And I again like I know weather isn't climate, and I try to not be too alarmist about obviously this is alarming, but in my day-to-day life I try to not be too alarmist. But we barely had any snow this winter. We barely had any snow last winter. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I'm looking outside.
Am I reading too much into this?
No, you're not. There's no. I think I tweeted this from the Eat the Rich account, or I mean whoever did from the Eat the Rich account that runs it. But,
it's me. So any complaints, obviously, regarding myself or my conduct, you can always, send those DMs.
I actually crafted all the ones that went viral. So the bad ones were Chris, and the good ones were me.
But people were responding because I was just like, I'm sorry, I haven't had any snow in my city, for any appreciable snow for the last 2 years, except for some weird fucked up October snowstorms that just it rains the next day and it's gone.
Right, yeah.
Guys like Tom Steyer, and I think about this, it fucking kills me. And obviously I'm getting angry, but we should all remember that anger is a subset of fear, and we're scared about this shit, and we should be, and it should call us to action to act. But we had snowy childhoods, and if are our children just not going to be able to grow up in is the snow line going to be in fucking Nunavut? Why? What the fuck? They're literally robbing up. There's so much joy in a snowy day. I love it so much, where you're holed up in the house and you're cooking and you've got people there and you get all cozy. It's the most joyous feeling. Or to go outside and go sledding, to go walk through the woods when it's snowing. It's just the most I
think it sucks, honestly, but I still don't want it to go away.
Yeah, it's funny because this also came up, when Carrie moved up here to Philadelphia, she'd lived her entire life in Florida. And so one of the things she was saying, when she first got here in the fall and we were walking around, she's like, it's going to be so nice to be here when it snows. And I'm like, oh, it's not going to snow anymore. Just that's over. That's done. That's not part of your life.
It makes me so angry. And we can't forget, and we have to drive this point home, that Tom Steyer is a billionaire in the world that has made his money off of, apart from a lot of other fucking horrible things that he's done, made his money off of fossil fuels. He's not to be trusted, not to be believed. He is a fucking enemy of the working class. Fuck him. I can't believe how angry I am at such an early hour in the day. I mean, usually, by the time I'm on my way to the gym or something in the morning, even if it's fucking 6:45 or something like that, I'm reading news stories that have come out, and just it's hard not to think about them. But even this, it's scary, man. It's obviously scary. It should scare us. It's not productive for us to go into an existential dread, spiral, even though I've spent the better part of a year there. It should just call us to act and understand. And again, I hope we, as a service to you of in the Patreon stuff, go more into depth about some of these things, or at least try to help us make us feel better a little bit, to understand who are the enemies to our planet, and to the working class and to those that are most marginalized by society, and understanding what those causes are and understanding what we can do to combat it. I'm blacking out, so I'm gonna give it over to you guys.
I just have a funny note on the environment here, and this is a bit of a call out of myself here, but I'm drinking this Pure Leaf tea thing, right? And I just noticed on the side of the bottle, and I want to read this because this is like really funny to me. There's like a little picture. It's like a little graphic of like a sun, but like the rays are like tea leaves. And it says, our commitment to sustainability. It says, every single bottle of Pure Leaf is made with tea from Rainforest Alliance certified estates. These estates are committed to using methods that protect the land, the surrounding waterways, and the health and livelihoods of their workers. Together, Pure Leaf and the Rainforest Alliance are helping to build a more sustainable tea industry for future generations. And then there's like a bunch of stamps on there that says like no high fructose corn syrup, certified by this. And of course, it's in a fucking plastic bottle.
It's in a. I know.
It's just like utterly meaningless.
Notably
like,
omitted.
Utterly meaningless.
Notably omitted is, this is the petroleum used extracted was done so by worker friendly roughnecks.
Yeah, it's fair trade petroleum. Yeah.
Also, it should say at the bottom, like, and one day we hope this bottle will become the home to a bunch of, like, sea creatures and babies that then grow up deformed and fucked up because they can't get out of the bottle.
Hopefully, this bottle will wash up on shore in the choked gullet of a dolphin on Catalina Island.
If this is the year 2100 and you're reading this because you're trying to use this bottle to construct some insulation on the side of your corrugated tin shelter that you've built to survive, the death tornadoes and the mutant insects.
We're looking to make all dolphins bottlenose dolphins.
Oh no. Oh,
Fuck
poor little
that.
guys. Poor little guys.
Yeah, we should look into the shareholders of Pure Leaf. This is I'm doing the devil face emoji right now.
I would maybe like to because we got a whole list here if you want to go in a little bit more depth on one of these episodes about some of Buttigieg's some of his billionaire contributors.
No, nothing actionable, please.
No. I just meant for a future episode it might be good to sort of dig into because I don't want to stop fucking going in on Buttigieg as long as he's still in this race.
Yeah, sure.
Definitely.
I would like to take a stroll with him through Central Park.
All right.
Just hand in hand with Pete Buttigieg and Tom Steyer, taking a lovely winter stroll into Central Park.
No.
As the roaring crowd cheers on.
Parody allegedly in a cartoon, in a video game.
Yeah, it was vague, man. It's all vague. So you can't. It wouldn't be fair to listen to that independent of the earlier context. You have no idea what the context is.
Just want to go through a walk in Central Park with my friends.
My friends Pete Buttigieg and Tom Steyer.
Unlike Antarctica, stay cool, folks. Jeez, that's too dark, Ted. That's too dark.
Oh, God. You just did it again,
I
dude.
know. I'm going to be thinking about it for the rest of the day.
I just recovered it.
Fucking hell.
Man. Oh.
Stay cool, folks.
All right, everybody. Yeah, I found a cigarette, guys.
Nice.
I have one cigarette.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go, baby.
Now, while we're getting all booty jiggy with it, I gotta ask, is it true you hooked up with Fox News at the start of your campaign? Because some might say that makes you a naughty boy.
Actually, I'm proud to say that I was the first candidate to appear on Fox News Sunday, because I don't believe in leaving out an entire portion of the country. Americans have a lot more in common than we're given credit for. From the coal miner adjusting to the changing economy, to the dreamer fighting to stay in the only home she's ever known. We all just want to belong. So yes, I want to invite everyone to join this campaign. Democrats and Republicans.
Democrats and Republicans? So what you're saying is you go both ways?
No, I'm just gay.
Okay, DC's Doogie Howser. Last question before we put this interview to bed. Since you're new on the political scene, have you ever thought of asking President Trump for advice?
Actually, when it comes to my qualifications, I have more government experience than the president, and more executive experience than the vice president. So, if they ever want advice, I'm sure their interns can show them how to DM me.
Whoa. I didn't expect the Leave It to Beaver kid to pack a punch.
Sorry, who?
You know, Beaver Cleaver from Leave It to Beaver, that show from the 50s.
Sorry, Jimmy, must be a generational thing.
Booty Judge has got an edge.
This is a season for boldness and heart.
It's the job of a leader to shine light in the dark.
The country is aching, there is no mistaking. He'll fight for our rights like we fought for this nation. The primary's coming, and then we must choose.
And that is how we slow jam the news.
Oh, yeah.